Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Okay.
Okay,
So,
Dr. Laga, what do you think? Do you
hi.
know?
Okay, thank you, thank you. So basically, after we have gone through just now, so those who have come back, welcome back. This is going to be like a fast track. I'm just going to browse through you. Then you can write, as I'm going through this actually, you can write down within your task 1, 2, and 3 what you think you want to write. But I also have something that I want to share after you have understood where it is. So this is your strategic planning, which I stopped halfway just now. So when you're talking about your topics now, you understand how you want to write your definition. Then you have to talk about the levels: corporate level, business level, operational level, individual level. Where are the issues? Because you're doing planning work, you need to identify where is it, what you actually want to think about, what you want to do. These are the things that you need to fit in. So some issues can be at the corporate level, some issues can be at operational level, correct?
Yes, correct, doctor.
And then you also have to look at the leaders. You have to write. Can someone? You don't have to write many words, but you need to talk about the thinkers. Who is the think tank of the company? Who is the think tank of the company? So if I talk about Air Asia, is it Tony Fernandez? Is it the team members? So the leaders, the thinking of the leaders, the levels of business issues they have. You don't have to be very detailed, but just touch and go. To understand, you are writing from a holistic approach about all that. Then when you look into your planning, then is where you talk about the direction, the 5W and the 2H, correct? The outcome, what is the expected outcome? What are your models that you used in the planning stage? So this is what you have already gone through strategic planning. So these are the things. Like I tell you again, everything from here actually comes from your textbook, from your notes. So I'm just giving you a reminder about the scope of what you can think about and what you can look at. So when you look at the direction, why, what is it? So this is where you are going to look at it most critically.
Dr. Loga, sorry, what is 5W and 2H? Sorry.
Why, what, how, when.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, good that you asked me. Remember just now we talked why we want to do it, correct? What we want to do it. So this is you're planning what? You're planning what to do what? So you need to put this right. What is your direction? So it is your planning. And then you link on to your theories and models. Remember, as much as this is a report, which is called an industry report, it also need to have elements about academic. This is where you add your theories and models, and then you can put for your references. What's the minimum number of reference required?
15.
Yeah, 15.
That is minimum. But a good report will have minimum 25. Because you got to link back. It's not you are telling, somebody is telling. So you concur with the somebody. that this model is used for this. The strategic direction is like this. Not every sentences lah, but somewhere you need to conquer. That's why you have the text and the information. So it becomes both. Even your internal report is a reference, correct? Your annual report is a reference. But don't put all of them as your reference all throughout lah. You know, you need to still first search your report. So this essence is what we talk about the initial stage. Then we talk about the change. So now my question to you all are, how are you going to incorporate the change? In your task never tell you about change what. So how are you going to incorporate? Hello?
Yeah. From the analysis, from the gap, yeah.
Yeah. So it's only when you analyze, you need to see the change, right? So in your task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, never talk about change at all. But where are you going to put the change? If you are recommending something that needs to be changed, then there is a change happening, isn't it? Or going to happen, correct? Correct, Asao? So, Mani? So, think about it. So, where is the drivers? I'm just going through this with you just to give you a trigger of your mind. These are important things that you have to also look at. When something strategic is happening in the company, there's going to be a change. So, where is your change? So, in that context of change, you can talk about your models of change, the intended change that you need to do, the internal and external environmental analysis change, your approach, and the change that takes place, the models, theories, and your opportunities. So I'm also telling you, you cannot put everything, correct? So you figure out, after you have done your structure of task 1, task 2, now I find the issues, how I'm going to make the change. Any questions on this? Guys, first of all, do you think there is going to be a topic about change in your assignment?
Hello.
Hello? Do you think there is going to be a topic of change in your assignment, Shamni?
Yes, doctor.
It's okay, but so where is the change going to happen? In which part of your topic? So some will talk about change in task 2. Some can talk about change in task 4.
Task 4, actually.
You understand what I mean?
Yes, doctor.
Come up with your strategies. One, you have change strategy, isn't it?
Yes, correct, doctor.
When you diagnose, you will diagnose something. Sorry, Shamini, I had to call you.
No issue, doctor.
So when you diagnose, you will diagnose what are the things to happen. So when you talk about in task 2 and task 3, you are basically going to say that, hey, you know what? This is what I want to. This is the issue. So the issue, this is what I need to help. So that's going to be a finalization in your chapter, in your task 5. You are going to touch and go about change management also, right? Because you're changing your strategies. I'm sure you're going to change. Maybe you're going to talk about downsizing. I don't know. In the next 5 years, if the pandemic continues, one of your elements could be also downsizing under 7S staff. So it all depends how you look at your scenario. So I can't fix for sure this is going to be based on your issues. It's only when you do an external and internal environmental analysis, then you can tell what needs to be placed, which we call it the gap. This is called the business gap. So the business gap will talk about your internal, external environment. Here, that's where we talk about your industry, your critical success factors, your pestle, all these things. I'm just repeating actually what is inside your text, just to give you a view about it. Then who are your competitors, where you talk about 5 forces model. So when you talk about competitor analysis, you're going to measure apple to apple. So who are your competitors? So how you want to overtake your competitors? Let's say I talk about AirAsia and Mars. So is AirAsia competing better than Mars? It is a yes and no. So how are we going to come up with strategies to support the business? Then I talk at benchmarking. So I look at benchmarking. Hey, Southwest Airlines is doing like this. American Airlines is doing like this. Malindo is doing like this. Indian Spice Jet is doing something like this. So this is where you do benchmarking. Then from the benchmarking, you find the best fit.
Hi, Doctor.
Yes. Yes, dear. Who's this, please?
Rebecca.
Yes, Rebecca, tell me.
So we need to precisely emphasize the competitor company name there.
If you are doing a competitor analysis, you can either precise, but you are doing a competitor. You need to do a competitor analysis, correct?
Yes.
So you're going to tell who are your competitors, correct?
Correct.
Then only you can do benchmarking, or you can do find out the issues, correct?
Correct.
If not, you will know. Sorry, go ahead.
So we can directly put the competitor brand name there lah.
Of course.
Okay.
If you cannot define that, you just put competitor A, because if you don't want to tell her, it's okay. But the most important, you must have done an analysis, right, Rebecca?
Yes. Yeah.
But again, this is only a report. But again, like I said, if you are giving false information, could also jeopardize, right?
Yeah.
So to be safe lah, is how you want to talk about what you call safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Right. So this is where your external. So you can talk competitor, industry, your critical success factors. So what were the critical success factors before? So the S is and the should be. So now if I want to do a plan, my S is critical success factors was ABC. Hey, but now it changed, because of the pandemic, all business suffering. So the future critical success factor is going to be something else. Which Prof. Lester also talked about this. CSF is a measure of the company. So then like I tell you again, and I'm repeating again, this is all the sharing, but everything you can choose to apply. Shamini will apply something, Rolin will apply something, Rebecca will apply something. It doesn't mean you have to apply everything. Find that best suits your discussion of your organization. If it's a manufacturing organization, it's different. If it's an automobile organization, it is different. If it is an IT company, it's a booming market, correct? So you look at laptops today, people, you look at Dell's business, it's on a waiting list to buy laptops. So their business is blooming. So if you choose that company, you got nothing to complain about, because they are growing during the pandemic. Correct? You look at online shopping, growing. Lazada, growing. So the choice of your organization will also determine a lot of things. Because the question never tell you the company is weakening, right? It just tells you 5 years, and then tell what we should do the next 5 years, or whatever you want to put. Any questions, guys? All good? Okay. Since no reply, so I'll take it. Then I'm moving on to internal environment. So the internal environment is where we talk about your PLC, your product life cycle, your onion models, all the models are there. Your resources, how you audit, your value chain. Michael, your value chain. Whose value chain is there? Have you seen your value chain? Do you all recall the value chain that you all studied? Yes, no?
Yes, the Porter's value chain.
Yeah.
Correct. The Porter's value chain. So out of all these things, maybe you will just talk about Porter's value chain. You cannot be talking about everything, correct? Or someone will just talk about PLC, or someone will just talk about the onion model. So I'm giving you a variation here to pick and choose which one you want to talk. See, I'm closing the gap for you. That's why I wanted to go through this to understand this all. You can choose, and it's all from your text. So you choose what you want. So in one sheet, you can see which one you want to take. You just tick, I want to do benchmarking. I want to talk about the tickers. I want to talk about the levels. I want to talk about the drivers of change under models. You don't have to talk everything here. In 3,000 words, we cannot cover. So friends, are we okay with this, friends? Can I move to the third one?
Yes, please, Doctor.
Yes.
It's almost coming to an end. The next one all is very easy, only. See? Setting the direction. That's it. So you're setting your direction. After you're doing the analysis, now you want to set the direction, which is your task 3. How is it going to impact? What is the strategic intent about your vision? G is goals, objectives, issues, and solutions. So what is the value? Let's say now the mission, my mission is to be a world-class company by the year 2025. Now 2021 already, 22 going to finish. Can I be a world-class company? So as a strategic consultant, do you think you want to suggest to me to change my vision? Friends, what do you think?
It's difficult to change vision in a world-class company because it will have a wider implication across the spectrum. But as probably a smaller entity in operating in probably a domestic market would be easier. So it depends on which company we choose. Just change of vision.
Agreed. But if I want to be a world-class company by 2025, now I'm 2021, correct?
Yeah, if you want to be, yes, that probably be kind of setting the objectives, what you want to be.
So, so if you are a strategy consultant, are you going to tell me that you can achieve it in 2025? Let's say
it depends, but yeah, if that's what the objectives of the company would be, then the suggestion would be in that lines. I mean, analysis of the company would be keeping the goal of the company.
Correct. So what I'm trying to tell is, that means needs some intervention, correct?
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm giving you just a classical example. So you have to look back at a vision, mission, goals. So if the vision doesn't need to change, it's fine. But you need to realign your goals and objectives, isn't it? You got to realign your goals, you got to look at your objectives, and you've got to address the issues, and you provide the solution, which is a strategy.
Yeah, possible. But changing the vision and the mission in the midst of, because we are talking about a company which is already listed, which is already in the public eye, vision and the mission is kind of, are the branding. It goes with, what company wants to be. Changing in the midway, is it suggestible unless they're going through a complete revamp of what they're looking into the future?
So it depends again on the company you choose and the status of the company, correct?
Yeah, okay, understood.
Understood. That's what I'm trying to say. So you see, if you tell me you've got so many issues, and from what I look at it, you've got so many things, then you say, hey, If you tell me, okay, never mind the vision, that's why I recall even Prof. Also was talking about it. If the vision and the mission, you need to look at it. For critical thinking, you need to use. Is it logic? Will it make sense? Yes. So how it is? So we need to use our thinking heads. Then you need to have a constructive deliberation. No, we don't change the mission, but we can do this, which means change our goals and direction. Because you like it or not like it, you have to write your vision and mission of the company in the contents, right?
Yeah.
So in that itself, I will know. Then I will see whether you are supporting or not. So this is where you also need to look at it. Just keep this bear in mind. So that's where you use your own required skills of a consultant to have critical thinking skills, constructive feedback about it, at the same time, evidence-based. You need to support with evidence and you talk in the context of facts that supports you. So that's where I'm trying to tell you, Sola, that supports you. So once you have this intent in picture, with this one is definite a yes. You have to put about vision, mission. You're going to write it. So you need to elaborate and you got to use your thinking heads to tell what you're going to do. Then you talk about your settings, which is what are the core values, the capabilities of the company, the culture of the company, the competitiveness of the company, the positioning, the stakeholders, all as a setting. You have to tell what are the core values because the value actually drives the company. The value talks about I'm not sure why my internet went off. Okay, so this will be the essence about what we talk about, the tagline. So whether there's a tagline, a brand image, because that is what the company's portray is, in line with their vision of the company. Then you talk about the settings, which is the core value. So please don't forget to tell me what is the vision, mission, goals of the company and your core values, which is already in the management report or which is already in your annual report. You don't have to create one, you just copy paste. And you just, as a consultant, you just tell whether you want to change or don't want to change. Correct? You're not forced to change. Correct, Li Hong?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, you don't need to, you're not forced to change. But it must synchronize with your issues. If you tell me it's great issues, then you don't change, something wrong. But if simple one you want to change, also something wrong. So you must be constructive and critical. And then you must be able to tell also whether your company is a differentiated company. So how well your company is different from another company. Correct? Because company A, when you talk about competitor analysis, hey, my company is like that, company B is like that. So why are you different from company A? So you have to support. So that's why we talk about positioning power. So where I always link business positioning power to your brand identity, your corporate values. Anyone has any questions that you want to ask me? You want to probe me? So after you have come out, then now you have identified all the issues. I've identified this, that, I've done an environmental scanning, blah, 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 blah. Now, what is your strategic determination? So how do you select? Are you going to use Ansoff? Are you going to use Porter? Are you going to use McKinsey, Mintzberg? Are you going to use GE metrics? Are you going to use Ansoff metrics? What is your growth strategy? How do you want to change from A to B? How? Your why, you already give issues. The H will be how. So that will be your strategy determination. So you don't have to use all the models. If you are sticking with one model, try to use the same model all throughout, unless otherwise you need to change. Let's say, for example, you use SWOT, and supporting your SWOT, you use a PLC, product life cycle, correct? So be consistent in what you say from day one. That means you know what you're talking about. Lah. I use a SWOT. After I analyze the SWOT, I want to use the PLC to check on my product life cycle, which means I want to know where is my business, whether it's in a cash cow, whether it's in an introduction stage, whether it's in a growth stage or maturity stage, correct? Correct, our friends? So once you know that, then you know, hey, my product already is in the decline stage. I don't want to revive it, correct? I have to spend money. I rather go to the cash cow, which my product is now making money. I just do some promotion and sustain my business until for the next 2 years until the pandemic is over, correct? Okay, my question to all of you here. Anyone, while you had a break or anything, has got an idea about a company that you want to choose? Then I can give you an example. Any one of you have selected a company that you want to choose?
Yeah, it is something like FGV, even Petronas, even AirAsia.
Okay lah. Okay lah, we take Petronas as an example lah. Or AirAsia, I gave you an example, right? So even AirAsia, what is the AirAsia's product line? What is the AirAsia's product? Who is speaking, by the way?
Oh yeah, Daniel here, Dr. Logan. AirAsia, flights, aeroplanes, destinations.
Okay.
AirAsia is already diversified now.
AirAsia is what already?
Diversified into food delivery and...
Yes. So why did they diversify into food delivery? Because of the pandemic, isn't it? They didn't sit there. So probably they had a great consultant who say, hey, don't waste your time. For the next 2 years, nobody can fly, correct? So they diversified. So they went into, okay, from the BCG metrics, Daniel, tell me, what did they diversify in? What model you will use? You can use them as an example, no issue, but what model you will use?
Porter, 5 forces.
Okay, 5 forces model for what? No, we just talk about it. 5 forces for what?
Value change, value added. Yeah.
So 5 forces talks about new entrants, substitutes, correct?
Yeah, competitiveness. Yeah.
Correct. Your 5 forces talk about new entrants, substitutes. So if you are going to use what model? If you are going to use BCG matrix, which talks about your, what is BCG matrix? Can you tell me?
I think we have many AirAsia staff here in the group. Probably they can highlight us.
Yeah, sure. So BCG matrix talks about the cash cow, right? So your BCG matrix and your product life cycle is in line. You know, you are aware about that? So if my product is a question mark, which means new product. So if now Air Asia has just started on the food for the last 1 year, am I right? Correct?
Yeah.
Those who help can help.
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct, doctor.
Right. So if 1 year, if they see their businesses is flourishing, that will be another of their product line in the future, right? Even though the pandemic is over.
Yes.
So in this situation, they have diversified their business. So it's a matter of which model you want to use, how you want to change your strategy. So if they are growing, ENSOF metrics grows. Porter's metrics, strategy, competitiveness. McKinsey talks about, Mintzberg, sorry. And McKinsey also talks about your internal strategies, change. And your corporate objectives, what are they now? So this is where the change is taking place. The moment I have an option, I am going to implement change, correct? So I look at the business growth. What is my business growth? What are the conditions for me to grow? So if we take example of Air Asia example, what are the conditions for them to grow? So this is futuristic. So why the condition? Air Asia, for example, I like their nasi lemak, right? Correct? So those days, even I get out from the flight, I'll buy the nasi lemak back home. That Sampak nasi lemak example. So now that it's sold in the market, you don't have to fly, you still can have the food, isn't it? So this is how businesses can grow. Markets are diversified, values are enhanced. And the process is the 80-20 rule. 20% effort, 80% profit. A change in my business style, a change in my strategy. So you have to support lah. And how I use my model, what kinds of model I use, whether I use blue ocean, red ocean, green ocean, don't need to use all. This I'm just sharing with you so that you can pick and choose what you want. Again, I repeat, in all my mind maps, I have taken it from your slides. But you pick and choose what you want. Don't put all and make a rojak. Have a flow.
Hi, doctor. It's me, Rebecca here.
Yes, Rebecca.
Yeah. So just now, I think there is some like option when there's option, then there is a changes. So if
Correct.
let's say I give 3 options, I need to like precisely write down option and changes for all 3, is it?
Which one you choose?
I'm thinking to choose the.
I have 3 options. But you make now you are a consultant, right?
Yes.
So you can have 3 options. You also can have 3 changes for the option because it's going to the BOD to make the selection, correct?
Correct. So it need to be so details until have all the changes for all the.
See, you have to just give them the option, maybe a strategic option. For example, let's say one of your option is to change the CEO lah. Okay?
Yeah.
So you cannot straight away change the CEO. That's only your option, correct?
Correct.
So another option is to add new product line. Change your product. Another option is to change your location. Example lah.
Yeah.
So all these things are option, but under your suggestion, if you can just give them the. See, when I give an option, I also must give some solution, isn't it?
Correct.
Then why am I a strategy consultant for? Correct?
Correct.
Then let them choose lah.
Okay.
So you can put this all in the table. Option 1, 2, 3. This is the expected outcome. If you choose A, this is the expected outcome. If you choose B, this is the expected outcome. Correct?
Correct. Okay, can.
But we also don't know whether it will jadi tak jadi. Correct?
Yeah.
But you have to justify lah why you choose it.
Okay.
Okay, Rebecca. Ken, Rebecca, are you okay?
Yes, yes, I'm good.
Good.
Thank
So
you.
that's what it means. Thank you for asking the question. See, the more questions you ask, you get some clarity. But at the same time, like I said, I just want to make sure that this is what it's expected to put in there. So don't choose all, choose what you think is best. And the last one is strategic implementation. So what is strategy? Before you implement something, look at it. You have done a clarity in your evaluation. You have evaluated your SWOT. You have got your gap. You have chosen what are the criteria for the measures, right? And then you have looked at it. Who are the analysis, your stakeholders? What is the risk you take? And then what are the theories, choices that you make in your proposal? Then when you want to implement, what is the process? What is the alignment, people, processes, management, alignment? What would be your, what you think your future key result areas will be? And some aspect of touch and go. You cannot write everything which you think is critical. See, when I want to tell you something, it's very important for us to put in our mind, first, the organization itself, correct? The more prominent the organization, the more harder to change, isn't it? More larger the organization. A company with 200 people and a company with 2,000 people and 20,000 people. A lot of difference, right? So your processes and everything you have to take look at it. So the bigger the company, the less change you want to implement, right? Correct, Daniel?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because resistance to change, you must remember all these things. Resistance to change is higher. So if you give me 2 years, but I got 30,000 people, how is the resistance to change going to impact? When can I change? So all these things, don't get a headache. I'm just giving you your critical review of how you can think as a consultant. I recall when the first day when Prof was talking about it, he said you have to think. Your choice of organization is very important because that will determine a lot of things about the background of your report. So when you want to implement, all these things are in picture, and the last, how you manage your change. So this is what I talk about Kurt Lewin's theory, Carter's model, Revick's model, your processes where you talk about freeze, unfreeze, and refreeze, and the force field analysis. So all these models you cannot use, but choose which is the best model suited for your paper. Please don't put so many models. I can tell you, don't put so many models just because there are models. Put that best fits your paper. Okay, so basically that actually concludes my mind map for this. So any questions in terms of information? Guys, any question in terms of information? Hi, everybody.
Dr. Wish, which informations that you are driving us to think?
Like all this that I've given you now, all that information that I've given you, does it make sense to your assignment?
Yeah, there is some link. There's some link to it between this mapping of it and to the task 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So now, can you see something different on your mind map?
I'm struggling to link some of them. I think we have to really
you will
digest of it first. Then only we can get, hopefully can get somewhere there. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I put there as task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4. Can you see? And task 5?
Yeah, can see. Yeah, can see.
So now you all guys just look at it. So this is my thought flow, you know. So this is my thought flow after your explanation, because like what, in fact, when Prof was going through the assignment as the first of your paper, I also captured whatever he talked about. So I'm just putting the first one as setting the scene. Who you are, we already told you. Choice of your organization, I've already told you that you have to choose. So what was the background of the report? The setting the scene. So this will be like the introduction, the background of the report. It's all the same what I explained to you just now, but in line with your explanation, now I've come to this. So this is something for you to digest. Like I said, this is just my thought flow. So it's Rolin. Rolin, are you there, Rolin?
Yes, I'm here.
So I'm going to send you this. So can you forward to them?
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. These are all guidelines. This is nothing fixed. It is just my way of interpreting whatever we are doing so that you get an understanding.
Thank you, Doctor.
Tu je. No worries. Thank you, my dear. Okay, I'll send to you, Rolin.
Yeah, I got it.
Dr. Loga.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think you have briefly explained a bit actually on the Asian side, yeah. If I'm to ask you, you know, maybe you can walk us through again if it is take another example. Say, for example, if it is FGV, you know, because I think professor has actually led us to think of it as, you know, mainstream, upstreams, downstreams in terms of directional strategy. So in this palm oil business, in this FGV, how do we tackle this?
Okay, you are talking about a palm oil business, correct?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so if you are looking at a palm oil, give me a name of an company in the palm oil industry.
FGV, Felda Global Venture.
Oh, FGV, sorry. Okay, somebody has written last time. Okay, so Felda Global Ventures. So they are doing palm oil industry business, correct? All right. My first question to you, if you give me a scenario setting, can you tell me what is your current business portfolio?
No, I do not know the business portfolio, but the big picture or summary, it would be something like the demand for the palm oil. I think on the global industry, I think demand for the palm oil, I think is growing. Yeah, I think they're actually talking on more usage, actually mixing actually with the fossil fuels to actually try to power vehicles. Number one. Number two is there is also actually concern actually on the land clearings because of the green agenda globally. Yeah, I think apart from these two, I think they also have some issues actually with manpower, yeah, things like that. But on the technology, I think they still are lacking in it, doing for the harvesting and stuff like that. Yeah, with the small picture of this palm oil industry.
Okay, so when you look at the Felda itself, it is one of the largest exporter of palm oil, right? And if you look at the upstream of it, so what are their success stories of their business? Because when you look at the upstream, they have to survive in the market. So you know that there are great demands for them. So a scenario setting about palm oil, FGV, Felda, and their ventures is all their ventures that they do, how are they growing their business? And in the current market situation, to ask you a question, Daniel, are they affected by the pandemic?
Yeah, they are actually affected by the pandemic, but positively because demand increased. Yeah, demand increased.
Yeah, demand increased, but their pandemic is only affected by their workers, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
So that is resources, correct? So the issues here is if in your so let's say you take this as an example of your company. That's what you want, right, Daniel?
Yeah. Is one of them, which I think because it's upstream, downstream, mainstream.
Yeah. So what is the mainstream of the business? Sport,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this is where I'm actually lost, Dr. Loga. Maybe you can walk me through because I heard from Professor Lester. He was actually talking on mainstream, but I got lost. What is mainstream? Downstream, yes, I know. Or creating all the products. Upstreams do more on planting for the palm oil. But for mainstream, what is mainstream? Sir? I got lost here.
No worries, no worries, no worries. So that example would be like for a mainstream of a business or business. What is a mainstream? So what is upstream? Now that you understand, so what is upstream?
Upstream here is plant more of the palm oil and trying to create a lot of acreage and trying to produce more because this is more upstreams now, more explorations, more drilling, more productions, ramp productions and stuff like that. If the prices, everything is good, so it's similar like the oil and gas upstream. So it's upstreams is more explorations. For the palm oil business is more planting. I would think.
Okay. So the mainstream actually in the context of your business relates to a general common. For example, what are the common functional activity in the business? What's a common functional activity?
They produce a lot of olein.
Production,
They produce a lot
correct?
of food, food oil productions and all this for people.
That's
Stuff like that.
production. But in order for all that to happen, what would be the core of their business? Is doing their marketing, isn't it? All business, like for example, all functional activities that are common to do the business. What are the common functional activities? You need to have resources, correct? Correct, Daniel?
Yes.
You need to make the business, you need to have your financial capability, correct?
Yes, correct.
You need to make sure that your marketing is doing their job, correct?
Yes, correct. All the functions, all the supporting functions, all the structure of the company must be in place to actually support and ramp up productions.
Oh, that is the mainstream.
Okay. Mainstream.
Because you must have the mainstream to run your business, correct? So mainstream businesses is what we talk about. It depends on the type. Like for example, you talk about palm oil, then it becomes what are the main aspects about palm oils. So functions. You see, some functions are not very. They only play a small role. But what are the key functions in this nature of business? For example, a production house. If I am manufacturing something, my production house is an important function, correct?
Yes. So
That is my main, correct?
yes, correct. So in the summary, mainstream is what they are currently doing. So do more and do more of that and try to expand to it. So the strategic thinking here would be that try to do more, try to copy and paste and implement more
Yeah.
places like that. Okay.
So yeah, so that is one aspect of your stream of businesses. So basically, this is actually another way of interpreting your stream of business. So mainstream, upstream. So when you talk about upstream, what is upstream and downstream? So upstream can talk about production stages. You know, so upstream, downstream, and all these things are part of a definition. It's used in your businesses. So actually, a lot of this, if you want to send, you want me to send to you later, I can send to you because a lot of things is like how we actually dissect your company from the uh, current business portfolio, key aspects of business, and how your businesses is flourishing in the long run. So that's how we take away the Upstream refers. So a lot, and then again, when we talk about this upstreams and all that, and midstreams, for example, it can also talks about the steps involved in making the business. So that is another name for all these upstreams. Does it make some sense to you?
Okay, all right.
So, for example, midstream, you can explain the activities lah, processing, storing, transporting. Remember we talked about the value chain?
Yes. Yeah,
so you saw the value
chain.
chains of it are very, they have a straight line, right? For example, logistics, procurement. So these are all, if you are a procurement, these are all the things that actually you can also integrate with the value chain that supports the business.
Okay.
Is it okay, Daniel?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so if anything, you can always text me, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask you another industry? I think for a similar, if it is global 500 companies like Petronas.
Fortune 500.
Petronas. Yeah. Between Asia and FGV and Petronas, I think Petronas also is very enticing actually to do try to cut it lah. Yeah. So can you guide me on Petronas, how to tackle this Petronas?
Guide you in what sense,
strategic direction, strategic thinking, and strategic gap creations and strategic values on how to steer to achieve that.
Yeah, so first of all, now you have to have an analysis of Petronas. Okay, so you see, in order for you to say it's good, so you have to have a critical analysis about Petronas. Where is it now? So once you know that, that is their strategic align. You have to align their businesses. So like let's say now Petronas was also hit by the oil market, right? Correct, Daniel?
Yeah.
But did they throw out their employees? No, not much. Diversified business, and they capitalize on their market needs, and they are still growing. And some of Petronas also have their subsidiaries, correct? Like Petronas Dagangan. Are you aware about it?
Yes, they have.
Yeah. So they have also diversified and placed. They didn't place all the eggs in one basket. Now they have diversified and trying to find their best where they can make where the money businesses is. So their strategic alignments also changed. So when you look at Petronas, and Petronas is still recruiting people. Why? When everybody are phasing out, people are recruiting. And no one talks about Petronas because Petronas is doing its job well because it's already got a ready-made market. So can you see the functions of a mainstream? Their marketing is good. Their functional activities in place. But they also have some hidden issues. Can be politics because linked to government, which is under pestle. And they are supporting the Khazanah, which is part of their holdings. So they are kind of settings and footing, which is a government-oriented organization. They also have some say in the development or the growth strategy. Does that give you some information, Daniel?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Right. All right. So that's about it. Thank you so much. So don't feel free, Daniel. If anything, you can always ask me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So basically, guys, to conclude, what we have gone through is setting the scene. So here I told you the scenario. Who are you? What is your role? Where is your role? And then you choose your organization. What's the profile of your organization? What is the performance of your organization? What are your accountability? Right? Then you have a framework, whichever way you want to write about the current of the business, which is, I put it as setting the scene, which is the introduction. which is your task 1, or setting the scene before you go into task 1. So any questions on this now? I'll link back to your question. So I've just probed this further. Like I tell you again, this is only my thought flow. Based on what Prof. Lester has given, I have captured this and I parked it here so that we have a better look at it. You see, if everyone follows this, I'm reading everyone think the same, then it's a boring thing, no? So you need to have your own creation. Then the next one is the task 1. So what is the trend of performance? What are the critical issues that you look at it? So I'm repeating the same thing again, so don't get confused. It's the same from your task just now. It's just that I'm putting it into key things that you can look for.
Dr. Loga, on that above, the red color of the words, task 1, B2, what is that?
Business goals, BZ.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
It's BZ, business goals. Because this is what it tells you. Okay. This is it. So I'm going back there.
This particular assignment, because we are focusing on listed entities, pretty much all the listed entities have their strategies kind of aligned. They are either re-strategized during this pandemic, or some of the strategies work during the pandemic. So when you say we as a consultant to suggest them or come up with a plan for strategy, is it how do we make it sound real? Otherwise, it's like pretty much everything is there in the annual report. And now to go back and revisit and coming up with our own, what do you call, fruit salad type of mess, and then trying to make it sound like beautiful. Would it end up that way, or is there any other way to avoid such nonsense and purely stick to just some analysis?
See, the question just tells you this. As a strategy consultant, you were approached by the board of directors to advise them on their future direction, correct? So which means if they ask you for an advice on their future direction, this sentence tells you that something is missing, or they need the advice for further growth, right?
Okay, so it's basically our assignment is heading towards the direction. Whatever we write, we should keep in mind that further growth of the company, not just analyzing whatever they are today. It is basically taking 5 years of their performance and then try to translate into what it could be in next 5 years or 10 years in terms of growth.
Precisely, that's it.
Okay, that's quite simple and straightforward. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Because they already told you they have been developed for the past 5 years, right? So your pandemic or whatever situations is already inside the 5 years, correct?
Yeah.
So you are going to forecast for the next 5 years the nature of business, isn't it? Or whatever you want to suggest based on all the analysis that you've done. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Thank you. So basically, that's what I'm trying to emphasize here. Look at this from this picture: business goals, business directions, and look at the industry market. How does the industry look at? This is where we talk about again. It's a repetition to summarize the whole thing that I was talking to you today. So the industry, the environment, your strategic goals. What are the metrics you want to use? What are the management theories? For example, POLC, one management theory. PLC, another theory that you want to use. And then we moved on to scenario planning. So once you have the industry market, these are all you don't have to follow exactly. I'm just trying to link it. It's an industry market that you're trying to tell. Then once you have known all these critical aspects about what is all these things, then we look at our strategic way of looking at it, where you now align yourself. How do I come out with these options? So looking at the strategic plan, which is your options, what are you going to probe to make that work, where you talk about management change. If change is happening, what are the key areas change is going to happen? And this is how I'm suggesting. This is how it's going to be. This is all your suggestion. Trust me, this is just your recommendation. We are all not what you call big time things. We are just putting our suggestion, and remember your role as a strategic consultant. So the role actually determines a lot of your the core of the business and the core of value of your report. So this is where, as a strategic thinker, as a consultant, let's say I come from McKinsey lah. I'm a strategic consultant from McKinsey, right? Or Ernst & Young, or whichever. And now I'm appointed to do this task. So I have a credibility of my company and myself, correct, as a consultant from the ABC. So whatever I'm going to suggest, it's also going to create credibility of myself. So that's why you need to have a very good diagnostic tool. And then this is where we talk about your task for the implementation. What is your implementation process? Your sources of power, what you want to look at, how you're going to evaluate, make it very clear, clarity. And last is where we talk about your, I put here as monitoring, which is your task 5 lah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, add together, you become your task 5. Your options, your directions, your measures, and your linkages. So that actually summarizes our whole assignment case. Okay. So this is so far that it goes. If you do have any confusion or anything, please do not hesitate to contact me. I know there are hundreds of people of you, but I'm sure if you have any, like I said, if you have any doubts, like clearly do not hesitate to contact me. I'll do my best to help you. But I basically wrote down what are the expectations of the whole environment, and it's also in line with what Prof has also suggested to us when he took a look about the strategic capability. You see, when I talk about the strategic capabilities here, I also talk about values, your competency, capability of your employees, where it will be delivered by your 7S model. So you can integrate lah, you know, use which one is the best. I normally use many of it as 7S because it covers a lot of strategy, skills, staff, structure, system, style, shared values of the company. So you think which one you want to use that is best. But of course, like I say, we all like to write 101 things because we want to write everything. Write it out first, after that you can finally synchronize. So to give you some suggestion, if you want to want some help, you may just write out your framework of what you intend to write, and then you can WhatsApp me. So then maybe I also can guide you at the same time. But you must identify the company. The company's identification has a lot of insights to it. Okay, that's all from me now. Thank you very much. Is there any other way that I can help you guys? Glad to.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Olga.
Yes.
We
Thank
can
you.
end the session.
Thank you.
Doctor.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Loga.
How about assignment 2?
Thank you.
Thank you.